Hey guys, long time no favorites. I've kind of transitioned to doing these videos seasonally as opposed to monthly. As I used to do so many monthly favorites videos. I'd have separate ones for lifestyle and beauty. Did I even have one for like Winnie at some point? I don't know. Winnie's my dog, if you like who's Winnie. Anyway, condensed down to one video, but I was still posting the monthly and now it's seasonally because I just find myself using the same things over and over again. I think it's just part of my aging process and maturing. I don't know, now that everybody uses the same stuff all the time as I get older, it's just been part of my process, at least lately. Actually, speaking of which, some of the things you see here today are probably, well, a couple of them at least, are things that I have mentioned before, but I don't think I've mentioned them collectively in a favorites video in a while. And also, it's kind of a special edition favorites video because these are all items that have been either very useful or bringing me comfort during this extremely unusual and quite frankly frightening time with the global pandemic situation. So most of all, my children, my family bring me comfort and give me strength. And the love there is my #1 favorite always, and especially now more so than ever. But also, I'm going to show you some stuff. So let's dive in. I kind of go through in order of category. I'm sure you'll be able to pick up on it. I've been doing the same thing for literally years. So for clothes and accessories, I love a good V-neck t-shirt. It's one of my wardrobe staples. I wear one pretty much every day, a t-shirt of some sort, but V-neck is my favorite. I don't like anything too close to my neck. I just get a little weird about it. Not that I can't wear it, it's just, you know, just a feeling. And I, for the last few years, have been buying the Universal Threads tees, which have had a little pocket on the side. I haven't been like crazy about the pocket. It doesn't bother me that much, but I prefer it without. Well, they finally released the shirt without it, and I bought a few. It was time for me to replace most of my V-necks because they had all these little holes down around my midriff, and I realized that it was from leaning up against Donnie's changing table, which actually has a bit of a sharp edge because it had like a tray for the changing pad, and it had a bit of a sharper edge to it. I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't dangerous or anything to him, that's just the way it was designed. And I could tell that I was rubbing up against it because when I went to finally take that piece off of the furniture a few months ago, because we don't use the changing table anymore, I saw that the wood had been worn down from where I leaned over the changing table. So I think that was the culprit, was me leaning up against and rubbing up against the changing table just so many times a day. If you've had infants, you know there's a lot of diapers. Well, we haven't used the changing table in a few months and I don't notice any holes now or more holes. So I was like, this is a really long backstory to my t-shirt. But anyway, I love these t-shirts. They are super, super soft. They wash up really well. I don't find a lot of shrinkage with them. Basic white, but they also have some fun patterns. I got this camo. Never had anything camo, but I really, really like it. I don't have anything against it, just never had one. And they have a couple tie-dye ones. I have a blue one and this yellow one. I love how it's kind of a mustardy yellow. They are normally $8 each. Still a really good price point, and I think they hold up great. Unless you are rubbing against a sharp-edged surface over and over and over and over and over and over again every day, as you would with a baby and a changing table. The other thing I've been living in, and this is more quarantine specific, I feel like, is hoodies. I basically wear a hoodie every single day. It's finally starting to warm up, so those won't be wearing those quite as much, but it has not been a warm spring. It has been a very wet and a very cold spring. My favorite, hands down favorite hoodie is this one. It's the Love is Love hoodie by one of my favorite YouTubers, Kate Flowers. It's in her merch shop. And it's just so soft. It's not too thick. You know how sometimes hoodies are like super thick? It's a very happy medium. It's not super thick, but it's not like really thin and flimsy either. And I wear this to death, and I do wash it so much, and I love it. What can I say? She doesn't have them currently available in her shop, but as of filming again, there is an order, like a link for pre-order. And it supports a really awesome woman and her small business and her little family. So I think that's a nice added bonus there. And then lastly, for accessories, this is not a new thing. Again, I tend to be a creature of habit. Let's see if the camera will focus on my wrist. Yeah. Do you see how it says have courage and be kind? This is a Lillian & Co. bracelet. It's a cuff style bracelet. I've had this for a little while. I had it in silver for a few years, and then I got it in this rose gold, and it's, I think, around Christmas time. And it actually, when you get them, they are much more vibrant. I'm sure if you were more careful with it, it's not like real gold, okay? It's very reasonably priced, and I think it's, you know, very well made, but it's not real gold. So it does change color over time. I don't take this off to wash dishes or wash my babies or do anything in water. I leave it on all day, every day, and it's definitely gotten a little darker, but I think it adds character to it, and it's my motto lately. It's like my mantra, and it has been for a long time, and especially so now. So it's just a little reminder to me of something very important to me, one of my moral, you know, pillars, if you will. And it brings me extra comfort during this time with all that's going on in the world and in my personal life. Whenever I look down at my wrist or just even hear it like clanging up against my other bracelet, it reminds me of it, and it's just that little reminder is very, very powerful on a daily basis. Okay, personal care. So if you've been keeping up with me on Instagram, and I have not been as active on Instagram the last few weeks, just life, you know, you guys, I'll be in and out of Instagram. I tend to go through phases with it. So you can follow me there. I'll put my little handle here. It's the same as this channel name if you want. Sometimes I go through weeks at a time where I'm posting so many stories, basically vlogging almost on stories. And then there'll be like weeks that I don't post much of anything at all. But that's just how, I just go with the flow with that. Anyway, if you've been following me on Instagram since this whole, I mean, it's been, what, 8, 9, 10, I don't even know how many, 10 weeks now? It's been forever. I stopped wearing makeup basically all the time. I think this is the second time I've put makeup on in that whole time. Yeah, I think this is the second time. But something that I do still wear every day, rain or shine, makeup or no makeup, I just haven't felt like it. And I just haven't felt the need. That's just personally. I don't have any feelings about anybody else who does or doesn't. I'm like, do whatever you need to do for you. But I do wear tinted moisturizer every day. It's basically my face moisturizer. I haven't worn foundation in years. Even though I've just been breaking out like crazy, I just can't be bothered. I feel like my skin can't breathe with foundation on. And I feel like it just makes me look a little bit like a different person. Just personally, that's just me looking in the mirror. But I love my tinted moisturizer. I use Juice Beauty, love it. That's not the favorite though. The favorite is something that's relatively new. I bought this maybe late last fall. This is the Origins Ginseng Refreshing Eye Cream in the little tube. So this is really cool. Basically, it has this really cool applicator where it's basically a sponge built right on top, and the product comes out the top, boop, and then I just dab it under each eye, and then I actually use this to just, you know, I don't know, blend it in. And I bought it because I have been having issues with sleep. I haven't lately, but last fall I was having a lot of issues with sleep. I wasn't sleeping well, and it was really starting to show, and I just felt like I looked really tired. And this just brightens me up. Even if I'm not wearing any concealer or any makeup that day, I feel like it just gives me a little boost. It's just a tiny bit of a highlighting effect. Speaking of which, it's like so dark, you guys. I'm sorry, I'll have to brighten this up somehow in editing, but it's just dark out today. Is that my hair or the kitchen door? That's the kitchen door. Anyway, that's been something that I've been using since, even now, continually, even without makeup. And it just, I feel like it just, even for me, because I'm not seeing anybody really other than my children, it just makes me feel a little bit more awake. And I feel like it does have a bit of a depuffing effect. It says it does. And then another thing, another oldie but goldie, is the Shea 100% shea butter by L'Occitane. This stuff really, really works. I am not easy on my hands, and I haven't been wearing, I got back into the habit of wearing kitchen gloves, and I was feeling like, yay, I've accomplished, like it's gonna save my hands. And then pandemic rolls around. I'm like, well, I better just have my hands in the water all the time. Even if I've just been home all day and doing dishes, you know, if you have children, you know, you do dishes basically all day long. I'm just gonna keep, it's just another way to wash my hands. So they've been really dry, in addition to the additional hand washing practices that we've all learned about, and hopefully, you know, everybody's taking those to heart, because that really is like the easiest and just the easiest thing you can do to help protect yourself and others. But yeah, this, I rub it into my cuticles in the morning after I wake up, and in the afternoon, not in the afternoon, in the evening before I go to bed. And it has saved my nails, because my nails are the first to go. They will get raggedy and like, not ratty, raggedy and brittle, and they've been strong, they've been growing really healthy. I just cut them down really short, and I did not do a very good job. I didn't file them or anything, I just clipped them, but they're so strong, and I really, really credit that, because that helps even with all of the water, hands in water stuff. Okay, home goods. Are you ready for this? Are you ready? The woman who could not love containers more has found a new obsession. I love these containers so much. The Rubbermaid Brilliance food storage containers. I have a variety of sizes. These are all the, I think these are all the sizes. No, they have some other sizes they make. But there is, oh, does it even tell me what they are? Yes, it does. This is 1.3 cups with a little lid. And then I have the the 3.2 cups. This is probably my most used one for berries and foods, you know, leftovers, things like that. And then there's the 4.7 cups. Use this for cut up veggies and fruit a lot. And then the Mac Daddy is like when I cut a watermelon or a cantaloupe, or I have something really big to store like cake or something. This is actually 9.6 cups. So I'll show you what this size is. I feel like it'll be easier to see. These are just actually legit airtight, and that makes them so effective. The seal is really well made, so it seals airtight. You can put liquid in this, hold this upside down. I mean, I would put the clips down. The clips just to ensure that everything stays shut. The liquid will not come out. You could store something upside down in your fridge, I feel like. I haven't tested it, don't take my word for it, but I feel like it would not leak. And the way I found these was actually through an acquaintance of mine who I followed on the internet forever, Tony from A Bowl Full of Lemons. I love her Instagram right now, by the way. She just shows so many home stuff. She just shows home stuff, and that just, I love home stuff. As a homemaker, I love home stuff. She showed how she uses these containers to extend the life of her berries in the fridge. So what she does is when she gets berries from the store, from her CSA or wherever she gets them from, she takes them immediately out of the packaging they come in. She just puts one layer of a paper towel on the bottom. I cut mine to size, dumps the berries in unwashed, seals it up with the lid, puts in the fridge. I have had these for at least a month now, and I am telling you, they work. I used to have the hardest time keeping berries for more than basically a day, especially raspberries and blackberries. I feel like they get fuzzy so fast. Strawberries are the next to go. Blueberries tend to be a little bit more hardy. Now I can have raspberries for days, strawberries for a week. I mean, raspberries don't last that long in our house anyway, but you know, a few days at least, and they just, it's perfect. Even if they're a little soft going in, they stay not molding. It's a miracle. So I love those containers. I also use them, like I said, for just general food storage, leftovers. They work great. And this item is going on years now a favorite. It's my Nespresso Arancino, I think that's how you say it, Arancino milk frother. I've had this one for several years now, and it's discontinued, the exact model. But the newest one, I believe, is the Arancino 4. I purchased recently for a friend a few months ago, and she said that it is just a miracle. She loves it. It works so well. It does hot and cold foam. I've heard rumors that the original one does cold foam too. I did not know that. I haven't tested it out. But one of the things that's been carrying me through more than ever is my morning latte. And I will write in the description my little morning latte recipe. I use an espresso machine, so it's kind of tailored for that. But it's just, I look forward to it so much. And the thing that makes it is the milk frother. Now I use mine with oat milk. I find out of all of the dairy alternatives, it froths up the best. It's also just the closest in terms of texture and even taste a little. I don't even remember what milk tastes like anymore, but I feel like it's the closest consistency to actual milk. So it works really well as a dairy substitute, and it just, like I said, it froths up like a dream in the frother. I put sometimes I'll make like a tea latte with the frothed milk, and so good. I love that little machine more than ever. And it's so easy to clean. I literally just rinse it out, wipe it out, pop it back on its little base, and it's good to go. Okay, I have a lot of multimedia things to share with you, starting with books. Haven't had super ton time to read. That's not English. Haven't had extra time, let's just say, with the quarantine and toddlers at home. But I did manage to read this. It's been over a month since I read this now. It's been over 2 months since I read this now. But The Untamed by Glennon Doyle. And I know if you follow me on Instagram, you're probably sick of hearing me talk about this, but I am not sorry, actually, because I want to talk about it so much that it sticks in your mind a little bit, and you're like, maybe I should read that. This is an amazing book. I think of this author, Glennon Doyle, she to me is on the same level in my kind of life developmental, like my inner developmental work. She is up there with Brene Brown, Elizabeth Gilbert, the women whose voices I look to for inspiration and motivation. And she just says it like it is, from her perspective, granted, and not everybody's going to agree with that, but I really like her style of writing. I like how she shares a lot of her personal experience through stories. She struggled hard as a young person with addiction and eating issues, and a failed marriage, and then a successful marriage, but in a different paradigm. And it's just fascinating. But there's so many nuggets of wisdom woven throughout the book that, at least for me, have spoken to me and helped lift me up and given me courage, to be quite honest, about navigating this life in this world as a woman at this age in my current situation. So I couldn't recommend it for more. I actually also enjoyed listening to her audio version of the book, which she reads herself. I always appreciate when the authors read their own books on Audible. That's just where I do my audiobooks, but loved it. Another book that has been really just very impactful for me in the past few months has been a Pavana Reddy book. I know I talked about her first collection of poetry, I think in the favorites some point last year. This is her second. I think it's an anthology, right? It's a collection of poems. Where Do You Go Alone? These are beautiful, beautiful poems. And I'm just going to read you this one because it's really, really speaking to me right now. Sorry, my ice maker is making ice. We'll just give the ice maker a second. It makes noise. Okay. The words we think but do not speak become the person we try to hide from the world. Tell me that isn't some deep, you know what. Anyway, it's beautiful poetry. I highly recommend it. And I believe she's self-published, so support her. She's a great artist. She also, I guess, is a musician. I did not know this, but she writes beautiful poetry. She's also a fun person to follow on Instagram. Fun as in like enlightening and, you know, makes you think. And Glennon also, love following her on Instagram. Okay, where are we? Right. an app I've been really loving is something I actually shared, I think in one of my vlogs from earlier in this isolation time, and it's the Storyteller app. This is by Morgan Harper Nichols, another account that I like to follow on Instagram for inspiration, for pick-me-up, for strength. I just have found this to be so meaningful to me. It's something that I read to myself before I go to bed every evening. So she's an artist as well. Every evening, every day basically, she releases a new, I almost want to call it a devotional. It's not religious, but a new message that she writes accompanied with some of her artwork. And you can download her artwork as a paying member of the app. But it's just something that I like to read. And if you don't want to spend money on an app right now, I think it's only $20 for the whole year. And to me, that's worth it. It also sends me a little like inspirational sentence once a day, because I have like the push notifications set on for that. That's also kind of a nice little thing that just pops up either on my phone or my watch during the day. And it's thought-provoking, and I don't know, she's very in tune. I just find her words are always so fitting. And I know they are for so many, because if you look at the comments on her Instagram posts, a lot of people say the same thing, like, are you inside my head? How do you know how to speak to my heart? How do you know how to speak to my soul right now? I just think she is one of those people, a rare breed, who is gifted with that beautiful, I mean, it's so beautiful to be able to speak right to somebody's soul who you've never met and don't know a thing about. What a gift from God, you know? Anyway, I can't recommend her app enough. Again, she is a small business owner. $20 a year for an app that has such a huge impact on my daily experience, to me, is money well spent. And also, I, enjoy supporting people where I can, but also she posts so much of her things for free on Instagram. She has 2 accounts. She has her at Morgan Harper Nichols and her at the Storyteller Co. I think she has some products as well. In fact, there's a mug I have my eye on, like I need another mug, but I really love it and I want to support her, so that might be coming into my life soon. YouTube has been another source of comfort lately. Since I've been a YouTuber, and even before I became one, I've turned to YouTube far more often than I turn to traditional television shows. It's just, if I'm going to sit down and watch something, I more often than not want to watch a YouTube video. I think as a YouTuber too, like, I don't know, I just relate to that kind of content and I like that format. And I have been watching more YouTube, definitely. I find myself, instead of reading in the bath, I'm watching YouTube in the bath. If I have a moment in the afternoon to have a cup of tea, I might put on a YouTube video instead of doing something else that I probably ought to be doing. But it's been a way for me to decompress and escape a little bit. So my favorite YouTube channels right now, and these are not my favorites of all time, but the ones that I turn to the most right now, Living Big in a Tiny House. I discovered this channel a few years ago. It's a very popular channel. The tiny house movement has been more trendy in recent years. I just love these videos when I am really anxious or really going through some big emotions and I need to press pause on those and give myself a breather for a minute. I turn one of these videos on because something about it just takes me away and soothes my troubled soul. I just love it. I don't know if I could ever go tiny. I'd like to think I could. I feel like it'd be a little bit hard with toddlers, although I'm sure it could be done. It's not something that's in my actual immediate future plan, but it would be a fun thing to try, at least temporarily at some point in my life. So we'll see how that unfolds. But I just love the way these videos are produced, and the people that they choose to highlight in their tours are just so down to earth and interesting and different, but you can tell they're kind-hearted people. And something about seeing how people turn such a small space into something so incredibly personal. And I think I also, like, the organizational geek in me, loves seeing how people incorporate all sorts of organizational hacks and tricks, and with such a small space for storage. I don't know, I just love it. Then some good news, which I'm sure you've all heard of by now. It's the John Krasinski's show on YouTube that he started a couple months ago when Shelter in Place really started settling in for everybody. And he just became an overnight sensation. He's already a famous celebrity, if you're familiar with The Office. He plays Jim in The Office. A great show. I love that show. Oh, I love that show. Can't believe that they just recently celebrated their 15-year anniversary. That makes me feel a little bit old. But I am a little bit old. So we'll just leave that there. But he's just a natural. As an actor, I guess he would be. But I feel like YouTube is a different kind of skill than... like, I don't think I could be an actor in a movie or anything. I don't know. I wouldn't know how to do that. But I know how to be myself on YouTube. And I do feel like we are seeing him on YouTube in that show. And anyway, it's funny and it's relatable and it's just, it's good news. And I highly recommend it if you haven't watched it. When I want just a quick little pick-me-up, I've been watching a lot of the Dodo videos. And if you're not familiar with that, it's mostly dogs and cats, but all sorts of pets. And it's about rescues and, you know, comeback stories. And it's just, there's something about watching a 3-minute video about an animal who just was in the toughest spot be brought back to a good place by the kindness of people. It just makes me feel so much better about this world. So when I need a really quick pick-me-up, I like watching the Dodo videos. And lastly, my brother recently introduced me to, I believe his name is Peter Bence, but let me check that. He's an amazing musician. Oh my goodness gracious. I can't even believe his talent. Peter Bence, yeah. I mean, I will put the video that my brother sent me that just blew me away was a Michael Jackson cover. As a person who plays the piano, I'm just astounded by his, like, he's a technician for sure, but he's also a beautiful musician in his, you can tell like he really feels through his music. He is incredible. You won't believe watching. I mean, you just won't believe it. It's just incredible. So yeah, YouTube has been definitely a sense of comfort as well as podcasts. I like to listen to podcasts when it's just me and I'm walking the dog or I'm running. Those are really the main times I listen to podcasts. But my favorite, newest podcast is Unlocking Us by Brene Brown. I mentioned Brene Brown earlier in the video. She's like one of my gurus, you know, and her podcast could not have come at a better time. It was set to launch in late March anyway, and it just happened to coincide with when all of the crazy went down with everything shutting down. And it's just, she has ridden the tidal wave of this disaster with such grace and brought so much just peace, but also a lot of like mind opening, thought-provoking content, and I can't recommend it enough. So I'll link that below as well. Oh my gosh, this is like the longest favorites I think I've ever filmed. Sorry you guys, I guess I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say today. Tasty treats. I've been eating all the cake. All the cake. That has been my treat of choice lately. And we wouldn't have cake except that my daughter's school has a weekly bake-along Zoom meeting. And we've been making cake. We've made 3 cakes now. I think 3, 4? I don't even remember. It's been a lot of cake. And it's just us here, folks. I take my parents some cake every week for them to enjoy, but it's not like I only ever bake a cake when we're having a party or it's somebody's birthday and we're having a party. And there's gonna be a lot of people eating the cake and usually taking leftovers home. I don't usually have half a cake sitting in my house. And my children, while they do love sugar like any other children, they actually don't like eat huge amounts of it. And I've just been kind of impressed actually, because I feel like as a child I would have eaten a huge amount of cake if I had the opportunity. But anyway, guess who's been eating huge amounts of cake? This one. But I love cake. And something about baking a cake and then eating the cake you baked, it just tastes so much better. And then for snacks, I recently discovered this brand. Actually, my friend Christopher Allen, another YouTuber. I love watching his videos too. Christopher, I love your videos. And also, if I'm going to talk about vloggers, Christopher Allen, Christina Brawley, Lakin, Plan with Lakin. I've been watching a lot of Emily Norris lately. Those are more YouTubers. I'll list everybody below. Anyway, Christopher talked about these snacks a couple months ago, and I finally purchased some. The real food from the ground up, and they're cauliflower-based snacks. So instead of using wheat flour, they use cauliflower. So they're slightly better for you. I mean, they're still chock-a-block full of salt and oil. There's definitely oil in there. But they use responsibly sourced palm oil, and there's a lot of fiber with all of the cauliflower flour is the first ingredient in each of these. So these are what my kids really love, these cauliflower stars. They're basically like their version of goldfish, except they're completely plant-based too. So if you have a kid who's sensitive to dairy, my children are not, but I am, so I eat these too. They're made with vegan ingredients. I really like these crackers. My kids like these too. They're just not as cheesy. And they're kind of like Cheez-Its, but not cheesy Cheez-Its, although they do sell them in the cheesy flavor. Again, it's not real cheese. And then I recently, this is my latest find on them, I have a problem. Tortilla chips are my trigger food for binging. I don't have I don't want to give you the wrong impression that I have like a binging eating disorder, but I have found that I can tend to binge when I'm especially stressed, and it's usually because I have tortilla chips. So I don't keep them in my house for that very reason. Most of the time I bought these. So they're still a chip, right? They're still a fried chip. They're not great for you, but I feel like they're a lot less bad for you than traditional tortilla chips. And they do have, you know, some fiber in them with the cauliflower, and they're pretty good. I like them with salsa. I probably won't buy them all the time because I'll just end up eating them all. But it's every once in a while when I have that craving for a tortilla chip, instead of buying Tostitos bite size, which are my tortilla chip of choice, if I'm gonna eat them, I will eat literally a whole bag in like 3 days if I have given the opportunity, so I cannot buy those. I just have a few mommy picks for you, and I didn't want to, there's just, I mean, when I think about all this stuff we have in our house, I can't pick out 1 or 2 items. We're using everything so much because we're home all the time. The kids love all of the games, all of the puzzles, all of their coloring stuff, all of their toys, the trains, you know, I mean, like, they love it all. I can't pick one thing. One thing I can show you is, like I mentioned, it has been a very cold and wet spring, but going outside every day, if we can, has been essential to everybody's sanity and happiness, I have found. The days where we really can't go out, if it's like torrential downpours all day long, people get cranky, people get kind of loppy. We need the fresh air. Our rain gear has been getting a lot of love. I bought these jackets on Amazon for the kids last fall. They are still fitting great. I think they will fit fine through the next fall as well. I got a 4 for, I think it's a 4 or 5 for, yeah, no, 4 for Cece and 2 for Johnny. This is so cute. This is by London Fog. I feel like it was pretty reasonably priced. It was under $30, maybe even under 25. Look at the little puppy. It has the dog that goes all the way around the back. It's so stinking cute. I also prefer rain jackets for my kids that are lightly lined. Not too much lined, but lightly lined. So they have a light line. And this one's a Carter's one, the one for Cece. I picked these especially because I've had raincoats for the kids in the past. I find a lot of raincoats are just Velcro, and I find that the Velcro annoys me. These have Velcro in addition to a zipper, but I like having the zipper. I also feel like practicing zipper is a good fine motor skill thing to do. So both kids can zipper. And then of course you need rain boots. If you're gonna go out adventuring in the mushy grass and the mud, and they love splashing in the puddles. So I found these boots. I mainly bought these because they have Mickey and Minnie on them, and I knew my kids would love that. But they're actually really great boots. They're not the least expensive rain boots on the market. I think they were like between $30 and $35 if I'm remembering correctly, but they're really substantial. They're very well made. I bought these again last fall. They've held up great. The sizing is very generous. I believe I had to size down for the kids in these. a 9 and a 5. So the kids are now 10 and 7 shoe sizes, and these still fit them. And Cece's actually almost an 11. 11 and 7, and they still fit. I did buy them in the next size up because I love them so much so. And these are the Disney, Mickey, and Minnie rain boots. And all of these rain gear things I got on Amazon. Amazon is possibly the best ever. I love Amazon. I know there's issues, you know, there's issues with anything, but it's just been an extra special help during this time when we're not running around places. Okay, you guys, longest favorites ever. Sorry this was so chatty. I feel like it's been forever since I sat down and chatted with you, so I really wanted to do that. And I would love to know what's some of the things that have been bringing you comfort or helping you with your time at home during this, I don't know, just life right now is just so bizarre, but it's also not anymore because it's been so long that we've been doing this. It's kind of become what we do. But I do so look forward to the chance to be out and about in the world again, even as an introvert. It's important to have in-person social connections. I think it is absolutely essential as social animals that we are as humans. So hopefully we will get there sooner than later when it is safe to do so. In the meantime, I hope you are well and staying as well as possible, and taking comfort where you can. Don't feel guilty or feel the need to apologize for doing what you need to do to feel okay. Okay? There's no wrong way to feel okay if you're not hurting somebody else in doing so. All right. Take care, you guys. Sending you lots of love and big virtual hugs. Thank you for watching. Bye.